everyone, welcome back to my YouTube channel. In today's video, I'm going to show you how to apply conditional formatting to our calendar template. Several weeks ago, I created this dynamic recurrent calendar template without showing you how to apply the conditional formatting that shows up here. In this template, on this side, we have task frequencies and dates. And on this side, we have the calendar, and the tasks that are listed here show up in the calendar. The conditional formatting applied to the task in the calendar is based on the color of the frequency. For example, budget review is a daily task, and the color we have assigned to daily task is yellow. Every time the budget applies in this calendar, it shows up as yellow. If I were to change this task to daily, the color changes to yellow. Essentially, whatever color we assign to the frequency, we're going to assign those same colors to the task in the calendar. To achieve this, we're going to use specific conditional formatting rules and apply it to the entire calendar. It is a little time consuming, but once it's done, you don't have to repeat the steps all over again. All you have to do is duplicate the calendar and it copies over the conditional formatting rules. All right, so to get started, first I'm going to show you the conditional formatting rules and then show you how to apply them to a new tab. To access the conditional formatting, you can go to Format, Conditional Formatting, or go to Fill Color or Text Color. So either of them, doesn't matter. Click on that and you see the conditional formatting option shows up here. And if I choose Fill Color, you can see it shows up here as well. So you can access it from either place. Now I'm going to select the entire table because I want to show you all the conditional formatting rules in this tab. So now that I have done that, when I go to conditional formatting, you can see that I have several conditional formatting rules. I have one for day, and these ones here are for the checkboxes. So if I check this box, this crosses and it's based on this conditional formatting. All right, so let's go back to the rest. And as we scroll down, you can see the different sets of conditional formatting. So we have the one for yellow, orange, purple, green, blue, red, etc. So now I'm going to switch over to this tab. This is the one that I created in the previous tutorial, which I will leave linked in the description box. So if you haven't watched it, go ahead and check it out. And in that video, I did not include the conditional formatting rules, which is why I'm creating this separate video today. So if I select everything, go to conditional formatting. The only rule we have here is to highlight today's date. We don't have the ones for the checkboxes or for applying the color. So I'm going to show you how to do both of them today. All right, so we'll start with the checkboxes. When this box is crossed, we want to apply conditional formatting to this area. To do this, we're going to go back to conditional formatting and click on add another rule. The first thing we're going to do is select range. It's automatically selecting this cell because that's where my mouse was positioned. So we're going to change that. Click on select data range. Select this entire area. The way the formula works would allow us to apply one formula to this entire section. Click OK. Next, we're going to change the format rules. Go to custom formula is, and now we're going to type a custom formula. For this first formula, it's very straightforward. Type equals G4 equals true, and true means it's checked. Change this fill color to none. I will change the text color to this gray color here and use the strike through option, and then click done and see what that does. So it works, but not quite, because it's only applying the conditional formatting to this area. We want it to apply to the entire area. So we're going to go back to the formula. Now to modify it, add the $ before G4. All right, so now that we have applied the $, you can see that it's automatically showing up as crossed here. So let's hit OK and test it out some more. Let me just add some random text here. All right, so when I cross this off, you can see that it applies it appropriately, and it applies it all the way down here. So it should still work for all of the options entered here. All right, so now we just need to repeat this step 6 more times. So I'm going to do one more so you can get the hang of it. We're going to do the same thing. Conditional formatting, add rule, select the area all the way down, click OK, change it to custom formula equals, and we're going to select this cell, okay? This one, I4. So before, remember we did G4. We're going to start with the cell I4. So type I4 equals true. And now go back and apply the $sign before I so that it applies it automatically. And change the formatting style to none. Change the text color and add the strike through and click done. All right, and we can test it out, of course, to make sure it works. Just applying some random text. And once we cross this off, it applies as it should. Okay, and now to save time, what you can actually do is stay in this area that already has the conditional formatting instead of moving over to a new section. And what this does is that it shows you the conditional formatting that exists in that area. So we're going to click in the same formula and we're going to copy it. To copy a conditional formatting formula, all you have to do is click on add another rule. And once you do this, it's going to make a copy of the formula and leave the one that you copied intact. Now we can apply a new range and change the formula. And this saves a little bit of time because you don't have to reapply the conditional formatting style. It's going to use the same style that we have before, and all we're doing is just changing where the formatting is being applied to and the formula. So we'll start with applying the range. So now it's applying it to this range because it copied what we had previously. We're going to change it by clicking on select data range. Select this range, click OK. So now it's going to apply to this new range. And we need to change the formula because the formula will still say I4, but we need to make sure it matches the starting range here, which is K4. So just delete I and type K. And once we do this, click on done. And again, we're just going to add some text here to test it out. And once we cross these off, you can see that the formula works. So go ahead and repeat the steps for the rest of the columns. All right, so I have applied conditional formatting to the entire range. And if I select the entire calendar, I should have 7 conditional formatting formulas. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And that should represent each section of the calendar for each day of the week. So that part is done. For the next conditional formatting formula, the process is the same, but we're using a different formula. Let's go back to our example that has the formulas. And again, I'm just going to close this out so we can see better. All right, so here are the conditional formatting formulas. And I'll just select the entire range and go back here so you can see we have 7 formulas for each section. All right. So now we're going to start with the first one. And so here's the formula. I'm going to copy it from here. I want to show you what the formula looks like. So I'm just going to open another sheet here. All right. So here's the formula, and I want to show you the formula before we apply it because it would make more sense when we start changing parts of the formula to make sure it works correctly. All right. So the first part of the formula references H4. I'm going to go back here so I can show you what is in cell H4. So H4 right here is the task. So it's going to look for a task in this section. And if there's no task, it will skip that cell. So going back to the formula, you can see that's what this part of the formula is talking about. And then now it's going to, again, look in H4 and apply a rule to that cell. And this area B9 to B, okay, going back to the example, I'm going to open this back up. Here's B9 to B, all right, this section right here. So it's going to look for this task here, and it's going to look for the task in the calendar area, look for the frequency, and then apply conditional formatting to the task. So if you go back to the formula, that's essentially what it's doing. It's filtering the task, the frequency, and it's looking for when this frequency is what we have typed in here. In this example, this frequency we have typed here is daily. So it's going to look at the task, look for this frequency, look for the task in this section, and then apply the color we have assigned to that task. So that's all it's doing. So it looks like it's really complicated, but it is essentially a filter formula looking for a task, looking for the frequency, and then applying a color to that task. Now I'm going to copy the formula, then go back to our sheet, and then I'm just going to open this back up. Before I apply the formula, I need to make sure that my task is in this range. Okay, so if your task is not in this range, change it. And I need to make sure that my frequency is in this range. If I go back here to my Generate tab, my task is in that range, B9 all the way down to B37. And my frequency is in this range. All right, so I'm good to go. The task and the frequency is good to go. And the other thing you need to check is to make sure that it is spelled correctly. All right, so I'm using daily here. It should match the frequency that I have here daily. If it's not spelled correctly, it will not work. All right, so now we're gonna copy this. I think we already did, so I'll just copy it one more time just to be safe. Back here, we'll start with applying it to this section. We do have to apply section by section, so 7 times like we did with the previous conditional formatting formula. So we'll start by just clicking anywhere here. Click on add another rule. Now we're going to select the range. So the same thing we did before, selecting this entire range. Click OK. And then change the formula rule, custom formula. Now we're going to paste that formula here. And then scroll all the way down to the beginning of the formula and add equals to here. Just add equals before the formula. And then we're going to make sure that the first cell is H4. So the first cell with a task, that's where the formula is going to start checking, is H4. Okay, so H4 is correct. And I'm just going to scroll all the way down to the formula. And the next time H4 shows up is somewhere in the middle part of the formula, and we're just double checking again that it says H4 and it has the $sign, and then we're gonna scroll all the way down. All right, so the range is correct. All right, and the range for the frequency is correct, and we have daily, which is correct. So now all we have to do is apply the formatting style. For daily, we've assigned it to this orange color, so we're going to click here and assign it to the orange color here. You can make sure that you're using the exact same color by using the X code. Here I'm just using an approximate orange color to match the orange color here. So I'll use this orange color and click done. All right, so now I'm just going to uncheck some of these boxes to check to see if the formula works. I'm just going to change this date here to, let's just say April 1st, and I'm just going to drag it down. And I'm going to delete these texts that I added because these texts will mess up the formula. So you can see this formula is showing this error message because I added these texts which shouldn't be here. So I'm just deleting them. All right, so the formula works the way it's supposed to. And just delete this text here. Let's see. All right, and I need to add the formula back in this area. Just gonna copy it from here and paste it here. All right, so now we can double check to make sure that the formula is working correctly. So placeholder number 1 is a daily formula. All right, and it shows up as orange. If I were to change this to once, now it no longer shows up as orange. It shows up as white because we have not applied the conditional formatting formula for once to this area. All right, so we're going to finish applying the conditional formatting for daily. We need to do it for the entire month before we move over to the next frequency. Close this up so we have more room. Click on the formula, add another rule. So when we do this, it's going to copy the formula and the formatting that we have added. So all we need to do now is tweak the formula, tweak the range, and it should copy it over to the next range. So click on select data range. Now we're going to select this range. Click OK. We have a copy of the formula, but it's not going to work correctly yet. So we need to make some changes first. All right, and I'm just going to uncheck all the boxes so we can see things clear. By the way, a quick way to uncheck a lot of boxes at the same time is to select the entire range. Tap on your keyboard, spacebar. Once you do that, it will check all the boxes at once, and tap on it one more time and it unchecks all the boxes. All right, so this is much better. So you can see that it's applying the conditional formatting rule, but it's applying it based on the formula we entered here. So we need to tweak the formula for this new section. So to do this, we're going to change the formula. we need to change it from H4 to the first cell in this range, which is J4. So here we did H4 because this is the first cell with a task. Here we're going to do J4. So anywhere we have H4, just delete H, change it to J. And remember that we have another one, so scroll all the way down here and change it to J. And if you want to do this outside of this area and then paste it here, you can do so as well. What I mean by that is you can go to Sheets and change the formula here. So change this to J, change this to J, copy it from here and paste it. But for this, I'm going to change it here. All right, so we have J4 changed in both sections and everything else should be the same. So click Done. And then now the formula should work the way it's supposed to. As you can see now, it's no longer mirroring this range. So if I go back here, let's just test it out just to be sure before we move on. Task number 1, of course, is daily, so it's going to show up here. Task number 2 is weekly, and if I change this to daily, now you can see it shows up here, it shows up here in the right color, and it shows up everywhere else because it's a daily task. Okay, so changes back to weekly, and now all we need to do is just repeat the same steps for the rest of the month. So we need to do it 5 more times because we've done it for this section, we have 5 more sections to go. Okay, so now starting from here, add another rule, change the range. So selecting this range right here. All right, and then change the formula. So now it's going to be L4, not K, the cell with the first task. So change it from J to L and change it from J to L here. And now it has applied it to the cell. To save even more time, before clicking on Done, just click on Add Another Rule. And it's going to save the one we just did and then copy the formula again. So now we can just click on Apply Range, click the new range, okay, and change it to N. All right. And then change it to N here as well and click on Add Another Rule. Again, just applying the range, the new range, changing the formula. Now it's going to be P, okay? And 2 more to go. Add another rule, range, R. Finally, add another rule, range, okay? And change this to T. And now we can hit Done. And now that we've applied the formula for daily to the next month, we can move on to the next frequency. All right, so back to our formula here. We need to change this from daily to the next one we want to work on, which will be weekly. So just copy weekly here because I want to make sure I'm not making any mistakes. It needs to match for the formula to work. Go back to my formula. Now I'm going to delete daily. All right, and then right in that space, I'll paste weekly. All right, so we have the same formula, the exact same location. The only difference is we'll change it from daily to weekly. So now let's copy the formula here. Back to our example. I'm just going to close this up. And now the conditional formatting for this area shows up. We can actually click on this formula here, add another rule, and then change the formula here. So we're just going to delete this formula. And don't forget to add equals. So add equals and then paste the formula that we just copied. So paste it. All right, this is the formula with weekly. And then we're going to change the color. So for weekly, we're going to apply this yellow color. And so just double check before I click Done. H4 is H4. Okay, the first cell with a task, H4, correct. And we have weekly, we apply the correct color. Now we can hit Done. Double check before we apply to the rest of the month. So we have a weekly task for placeholder task number 2. Weekly task shows up here in the right color. Let's change task number 1 to weekly to see what happens. Yes, so when we change it, it changes it here. All right, so change it back to daily. And now we can apply it to the rest of the table. Just gonna select this area so that the conditional formatting shows up here. This is the formula we're going to apply. So click on that. This is the one with weekly. And remember to use add another rule. Now we can apply the new range. Click OK. Change it from H4 to J4, just like we did before. All right, and then you can scroll all the way down just to make sure it says weekly here, which it does. And instead of clicking done, go to add another rule, select the new range. That should be this range here. Click OK, change it to L4, add another rule, new range, OK, N4, add another rule. We have 3 more to go. Okay, P4, add another rule, next range, R4, add another rule. The last range would be this one. And now we're going to change it to T4 and click done. All right, so close this for now. Open this back up. Now you can see that we have the 2 ranges showing up. So we have daily and weekly. Task number 4, starting April 4th. All right here, which is a weekly task, shows up in the orange color. If I change it to once, it still shows up here, but it doesn't show up with any color. If I change it to daily, shows up orange. Change it to weekly, shows up yellow. So it works the way it's supposed to. Next, we're gonna do monthly. Back to our formula, change it from weekly, just delete that and paste monthly. All right, and now we're gonna copy the entire thing and just repeat the exact same steps. Copy. Back here, for monthly, we're going to assign a green color. So close this out. And I'm just going to click here, open back conditional formatting. Use this rule, but add another rule so we can change it. But we already have the range selected for us. Delete this formula, equals, paste the formula. All right, and then change the color. So we're going to change it to this green color and hit done. Now we're hitting done because I want to check it before we apply it to the rest of the sheets. So go back here. We have a monthly task. Let's change it for April 1st. And you can see that it works right here. Now we can copy the formula to the entire table. Click on that. Add another rule. Change the range. Click OK. All right. And then we're going to change this from H4 to J4. Do it one more time. Click on add another rule, new range, change it to L4 and on. Okay, add another rule, select range. Okay, here N4, add another rule, select range, P4, okay, add another rule, R4, add another rule, add the last range, and this is going to be T4. So now this is done. So let's just scroll all the way here and test it a few more times. So let's place task placeholder number 3. Let's make it start April 2nd, just to make sure that this section works. So April 2nd, it shows up here in green, which is correct. Okay, so before we move on, I want to show you something about this order right here. These cells can actually be moved around. If I move this down here, for example, now this formula is not going to work because this is a hierarchy. It's going to apply the conditional formatting to this before it applies it to this, and then finally to this. Now, because these formulas are independent of each other, their order doesn't matter, but this one does. It does matter. So right now, if I were to cross this off, you're not going to see that conditional formatting formula apply because it is prioritizing these formulas. So if I move this all the way back up, now when I hit cross, it will cross that formula out, which actually makes sense because once you cross it out, the frequency doesn't matter anyway. All right, so just keep that in mind. For these formulas, the order shouldn't matter for these 3, but for this specific one, it does. Okay, and then you're going to repeat the same steps for the rest of the frequencies. The next one, every weekend, you would copy every weekend here, just how it is with the space in between, and go to sheets and change this from monthly to every weekend. Okay, and then you'll copy this formula and do the exact same thing. Okay, go back to the example. Let's say here, conditional formatting. We'll start with this one and add another rule. So we copy the range and change the formula here to every weekend, and then change the color here to blue and hit done. All right, I'm going to change this to Saturday. All right, because I want to see the conditional formatting here. And let's change this task to every weekend. So from daily to every weekend. All right, so it's not showing up because I messed up the formula. So just go back here and make sure you enter equals before the formula. So equals and done. And now you can see it shows up here, and as well for task number 8 right here. So you're just going to repeat the same steps like we did before, meaning you add another row, change the range, change the column number here from H to the next one, which would be J, and repeat the steps over and over again. And that's how you get it to look like this. So now when we go back here and highlight everything, go back to conditional formatting, you can see why we have 7 different formulas for each color. So we have 7 for the 7 rows for the 7 days of the week for this monthly template. And we have 7 for orange, 7 for purple, etc. So that's how you would apply conditional formatting to a calendar. And of course, you can apply this same logic to other applications. So let me know if you have any questions about this. If it worked for you, let me know if you have some problems. Leave them in the comment section below. If you're having problems, double check to make sure that you are using the exact same columns that I am using so the formulas work without any issues. After you have applied your formulas, you can make changes to your layout and the formulas will adapt. But first, if you're just wanting to create something to make sure it works, use the exact same rows and columns that I'm using, or add your own ranges here if you're not using the exact same ones that I am using. All right, so I hope this helped. Like I said before, any questions or comments, leave them in the comment section below. If you have another application for conditional formatting that you want me to make a video on, let me know, leave in the comment section below, and I'll be happy to help. One more time, the video tutorial that I use to create this dynamic and recurrent calendar planner template will be in the description box, so you can go ahead and check it out. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in the next one. Take care.